Today I'm going to show you the top 10 tips, tricks and techniques that will help make you a better Call of Duty player. Some of these will seem obvious, but it's surprising how many people don't do the simplest things that can improve their gameplays. And you may know a few of these already, but if there's even 2 or 3 tips you can take away from this quick video, then you will notice an improvement in your accuracy, your kill-death ratio and the general way you play, which of course means that you will enjoy playing a lot more. So stay locked, enjoy, and I hope it helps. What is currently happening YouTube? Facepalm here, your friend in Oz and NZ, bringing you reviews, tutorials and game clips, minus the You can follow me on Twitter at Facepalm with a 1, not an L. As for here on YouTube, if you like what you find, then like, comment and subscribe. Don't forget to bring your game face. Let's get it done. So the number 10 tip today is your physical hardware setup. What I mean by this is have your console, internet and screen set up correctly. The first call out here is to use a gaming monitor instead of a TV. Why? Well, most TVs are cheap and are great for watching TV shows, but there is a very noticeable amount of latency or delay between your controller's movements and what you see on screen. When I first played Call of Duty, I was using the TV in my lounge and I couldn't figure out why I was constantly getting my ass kicked. One of the main reasons, aside from the fact that I was shit at the time, was because my aim was all over the place when sniping, and that was because of the delay between my controller and what I was seeing on my TV screen. When I switched to a gaming monitor, my gameplays instantly improved drastically. The second call out is to have your controller cabled to your console and sit as close as you can to your console. If you check out a lot of pro YouTube gamers, they sit at the desk with the consoles near their feet, which means that their controllers are very close to their consoles. This ensures that there is the minimum possible delay between the controller movements and what is actually happening on screen, which of course is going to increase your accuracy. And third, use cabled internet where possible, as this will ensure the lowest ping when you are connecting to the host of the match that you are playing. Wireless Wi-Fi connections introduce a certain amount of latency or delay, which will affect your reaction times and your accuracy. So cable that console up. These 3 steps may seem minimal individually, but if you're doing all 3 of these wrong, then that is 3 lots of delay added together, which is going to make you far less accurate and basically make your gaming experience an uphill battle. So use a monitor, sit close to your console, and use a cable to connect your console to the internet, and life will be peachy. Coming in at number 9 is to set up your classes correctly. There are a lot of videos on YouTube that tell you how to optimize your class setups, but for me it's most important to tailor your classes to the stages and game modes that you are playing. I look at it this way: I'll set up my weapon attachments to suit my playstyle, and then I'll run the perks that best suit the map that I'm playing. For example, my sniper rifle attachments are the same through most of my class setups because quickscoping is the style of sniping that I use. And so my sniper rifle attachments are set up to match my playstyle. Then I'll swap around my perks depending on the map or game mode that I'm going to be playing. So on a small map like Nuketown, where you're going to get hit a lot and fragged and stunned a fair bit, I'll create a class with a tac mask and a flak jacket to prevent those frags and stun grenades from having too much of a negative effect. In a class like this, I won't use the blast suppressor because I don't jump a lot unless I am aggressively sniping, and by that point I'm generally already lining the enemy up for a shot, so it's going to be too late for them to spot me on the minimap when I jump. I'll run the ghost perk so that I can flank enemies, and because I try to flank on most stages and game modes, then the ghost perk is also in a lot of my class setups. Then if I look at my safeguard setup, because I don't care necessarily if the enemy knows where I am, I won't run ghost. Instead I'll use that extra slot for something else, and I'll also equip a weapon that lets me mow down other players constantly without having to reload a lot, which is why I use the dingo, as I find it the perfect weapon for me to use in that game mode. Also, I find this setup great for just grinding out XP in the double XP weekends because of its sheer effectiveness. Then I also have a couple of sniping setups labeled TDM and TAC. These are both very similar, except one has the TAC mask setup, which I use a lot for small maps, and the other is a team deathmatch class, which I use for bigger maps and team deathmatch game modes. The only difference here is that the TDM class has the blast suppressor perk equipped instead of the TAC mask, because on bigger maps I want to cover a lot of ground as fast as possible by jumping and sliding, and I don't want the enemies to spot me on the minimap every time I make a move like that. So set up your classes correctly dependent on your play style and the stage and game modes that you're playing on. My number 8 top Call of Duty tip today is to use the minimap. You need to be aware of how important the minimap is to improving your gameplay. If you watch a lot of pro YouTubers, you'll constantly notice their eyes flicking up to the top corner where their minimap is. The minimap gives you a lot of information, most importantly of which is it tells you where the enemy team is spawning and where your teammates are in relation to the enemy team. Keep your eye on that minimap and be aware of your own presence on it. At the start of any round, know what options the enemy team has and how far they can make it in the first 10 seconds of the round. Also keep that in mind for your teammates. How far are they going to make it across the map in that first 10 seconds and where will they end up? Spread out and cover all sides of the map as soon as you can. For example, if your teammates go left and right, then you should go down the middle. Then watch the minimap for firefights to see where everyone has ended up and take from that an idea of the best place for you to be in relation to that firefight. If no one goes left and you want to go to the middle, that's fine, but be very aware of the left side enemies because none of your teammates will be on the left side to stop the enemy team from flanking you on the left. Check the middle, then flank to the left, then back to the middle. Keep your eye on the minimap for telltale signs of where the enemy is currently at. Also, be aware that some players are out for KD only. Expect that shit. They won't wait for the initial domination capture or they won't escort the robot in safeguard. They'll rush the map and they are fucking coming for you. So be ready and be aware of how much ground they can cover in those initial seconds and the spots that they can appear from. Use the minimap to fill in the blanks and give you a heads up on where to have your sights pointed before it's too late. Also, if you're in the middle of the map firing at the enemy team, be aware that if your team is all in front of you, swarming the enemy, and your team is winning, at some point it's very likely that the spawns will flip and the enemy will start spawning behind you. If you keep your eye on the minimap, you will know when this happens and you can turn around and be ready. In saying all of this, don't rely solely on the minimap as that can lead to disaster. Use the minimap in combination with the other tips that I'm going to cover. Which brings me to number 7. Don't sprint everywhere. I used to sprint everywhere and I see people do it daily. When have you seen a Call of Duty pro player just sprint forward constantly? Never. That's when. Don't rush. Take your time, check your corners, and make sure that you are covering the section of the map that you are currently on. Take it chunk by chunk. Clear the area you're in, then use the minimap to gauge which section of the map to move to next, and then clear that area. Move back and forward on your section of the map and make sure that no one is flanking you or your teammates. One of the main benefits of not sprinting everywhere is your aim down sight time will be quicker. So the time between you hitting the button on your controller to aim down sight and the point where your sight is actually lined up to shoot in a straight line will be minimized. And if you've played even 5 minutes of Call of Duty, you'll know that the millisecond difference between aiming down sight from a stationary position and aiming down sight from sprinting can be the difference between you winning or losing a firefight. So don't sprint unless you actually have to. So coming in at number 6 today is watch the shadows. How many times have you wondered how the hell did the enemy player know I was coming around that corner when they weren't even using the awareness perk and you know you weren't showing up on the minimap? Well, it's likely your shadow gave you away. So here I can see this guy's shadow on the other side of the wall, and if I track all the way back to where I would expect him to come from and then stop sprinting, ease around the corner, I know he's there and I can gun him down and pick up an easy kill. In this other instance, when I come off this spot, I can see this player's shadow on the ground and it looks like they're moving at speed. So once they stick their head around that corner, boom, gone burger. In the same token, be very aware of what your shadows are doing, as the enemy team can easily use that to their advantage also. At number 5 is to listen to your teammates. Get in a party with your friends and use the chat to give each other a heads up on where the enemies are. This is extremely powerful. If you're not in a party, leave the comms channel on, obviously muting any annoying 10-year-old screeches, and listen to what the other players in your lobby are saying. In Call of Duty, your ears are almost as important as your eyes. Listen for clues. Here, this completely random dude is having a whinge about an enemy team member camping in the same room.
Oh, what the fuck? He's still sitting there.
And sure enough, if I move forward and come around these corners slowly, I can see the room he is talking about, and if I drop a little deceptive fire to draw the enemy out, like a spider coming out of its hole, he pops his head out and bosh, one camper down. Which brings me to number 4. Learn to love campers. What? Learn to love campers, you say? Yeah, love campers. I love campers. They can be really annoying, I know, but they basically sit in the same spot and wait for you to gun their asses down. And there's not much more satisfying than catching someone camping and then wrecking their spot. Yep, you may lose a life in the first place, but once you know where they are, you can usually blatantly come around the corner and bosh. Also, remember the spots where people camp the most. On Nuketown, this camping spot is constantly in use, and 50% of the time, I'll fly out with a jump shot, and because I know exactly where they're going to be, even if I haven't seen them there, I know where to have my sight pointed. And if I fly around that corner and someone is in that spot, that trigger will be pulled and motherfuckers gonna die. Bear in mind here that there is a difference between going back to kill a moving player for revenge and going back for a camper. If you are going back for a moving player, they likely would have made ground and they will have a fair idea of where you are spawning, which means that they will have the upper hand. So if you're going back for revenge kills on moving players, expect some varying results. But yeah, don't get angry, don't lose your shit, keep calm and bask in the satisfaction of your name popping up on screen, and imagine that camper screaming, "How the fuck did he know I was there?" and then smashing their controller in disgust. It would just, whatevs. That does bring me to number 3, and that is calm your farm. Keep calm, seriously. Learn to stay almost disconnected from the action and focus on being focused instead of enraged or panicked. This is one of the best things you can do to increase your accuracy. If you think about fighters in the ring, fighters that swing wildly, they get knocked out. Being in the zone isn't mashing buttons frantically, it's being cool, collected, and focused. Take this shot for example. I'm surrounded, I know I'm about to get fucked, but because I kept cool, my actions were smooth and my shots found their marks. If I replay this, you can see that I missed this first shot, and instead of panicking, I calmly line up a second shot, and as I'm getting hit from behind, I spin around, get a hit marker, duck behind cover as the bolt cocks another bullet, then I spring up and finish the job. Straight up, if I was in full panic mode, I would have gone down after I missed that first shot. Be cool and you'll do better. So my number 2 top tip today is to learn when to swap weapons. This sounds like a no-brainer, but I catch so many people either mid-stride out in the open, swapping weapons, or in the wrong space with the wrong weapons. For different people, this will mean different things. For me, it means that when I'm out in the open, I'll be running with my sniper rifle. Then when I run into a corridor or narrow space, I'll swap to my dual pistols as they basically cannot miss in a confined environment. Then when I head back out into the open, I'll swap back to my sniper rifle. The same can be said if you're trying to do something like get your knife kills up for the Dark Matter challenge. Run around with your assault rifle in the open, then get to a confined space and switch to your knife. Also, if you're carrying a launcher, don't use it in a confined space because you'll blow your own ass up. Keep it for out in the open and use other weapons for smaller spaces. Obviously, there's no hard and fast rule here, but if you pick the right weapon for the right space and know when to swap that weapon, life will be easier for you. And finally, today at number 1 is the single most important tip that I can give you that will absolutely 100% improve your kill-death ratio by increasing your accuracy, your map movement, and your general play style by allowing you to incorporate all the things I've covered in this video. And that is the warm-up. Seriously, before you jump into any match at the start of each day, run a warm-up stage. If you think about this, it makes perfect sense. All athletes do it, all the pros do it, and if you want to improve your KD ratio, trust, do a warm-up first. This made the biggest difference by far to my stats. So what you're going to need is a medium-sized stage, not one that's too small as it will be too cramped, and not one that's too big as the warm-up will be too slow. I've found that Skyjacked is the perfect candidate for our warm-up map. What you are going to do is set up the bots on regular difficulty, eventually moving on to more difficult settings as you progress, and set the max amount of bots on the enemy team, so that it's going to be you versus all of them. Set the game mode to team deathmatch, and then set the limit to 100 and the time limit to 10 minutes. What this is going to do is teach you map movement, mini-map watching, improve your accuracy because of the sheer amount of shots you're going to be taking and because there will be no latency from the internet. It will also teach you how to prioritize which enemy to kill first in a situation where you are surrounded by enemies. This is going to save your ass a lot when you're in a public match. This will also make sure you are using the best class setups for your playstyle. It'll teach you the ins and outs of the maps, when to swap weapons, which weapons to use, how to remain calm under pressure, and how to use the minimap and watch for shadows. It will teach you all of this in a very short amount of time and make sure that when you hit the public lobbies, you're going to be at your best. So what I recommend is that you play 2 rounds of TDM warm-up each day before you jump into a public match. And your goal here is to kill all the enemy bots before the 10-minute time limit expires. For me, a score higher than 80 is still good. A score higher than 70 is still a ready to go into a public match type of score. Anything less than 70 and you can still join a public match online, but do so at your own risk. In reality, you might as well join, as you don't want to spend your whole day doing a warm-up stage. If, however, you are getting less than 50, you really should practice more, as you're really going to struggle in a public match and it will be a really bad start to your kill-death ratio. If you are getting negative numbers against regular bots, for example, they are killing you more than you are killing them, then you definitely need to practice more, because you'll get slaughtered in a public lobby. Your kill-death ratio will be terrible, you'll get angry, your teammates will get angry, and it will take you a long time to claw back from such terrible stats. Do a warm-up, 2 rounds, TDM, max bots. I can't stress this enough. This will lift your game better than anything else, and it will only take you around 20 minutes at the start of each day. That's it for today's top 10 tips. I really hope this has helped. If you use these tips to your advantage, you will find an improvement in your gameplay. If you have any other suggestions, put them in the comments below and vote up your favorite answers so that other people can see what you think are the top tips. Aside from that, I hope this has helped. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Thanks for watching today's video. Just remember you can follow me on Twitter @facepalm with a 1, not an L. As for here on YouTube, if you like what you find, then like, comment and subscribe. But don't forget to bring your game face. Facepalm out.